Hello everyone, and welcome to History of the Ancient World. Today, we're embarking on an epic journey back in time to an era of myth, magic, and monumental gods. We'll be exploring the divine pantheons of two of the world's most fascinating civilizations, ancient Egypt and ancient Greece. On one side, we have the enigmatic gods of the Nile, born from the river's life-giving silt and the vast desert sands. On the other, the dramatic and all-too-human gods of Mount Olympus, whose passions and quarrels shape the world of mortals below. What happens when we place these two powerful pantheons side by side? You might think they're worlds apart, and in many ways, you'd be right. But as we'll discover, there are surprising parallels, fascinating connections, and even direct interactions that link these divine families together. So grab your papyrus scrolls and your laurel wreaths, because we're about to uncover the secrets of the gods. Let's start our journey in the land of the pharaohs. Egyptian mythology is one of the oldest and longest surviving religious systems in history. It's deeply intertwined with the natural world, particularly the cycles of the sun and the annual flooding of the Nile. At the heart of it all is the concept of Ma'at, the cosmic order, truth, and justice that every god and mortal was expected to uphold. At the top of the pantheon, we often find Ra, the sun god, the creator of all things. Each day, he would sail his solar bark across the sky, bringing light and life to the world. And each night, he would journey through the treacherous underworld, the Duat, battling the serpent of chaos, Apep, to ensure the sun would rise again. This daily struggle wasn't just a story, it was the ultimate symbol of order triumphing over chaos, a core belief in Egyptian life. Then there's the famous tale of Osiris, Isis, and Horus. Osiris, the benevolent king of the gods, was tragically murdered by his jealous brother, Set, the god of chaos and the desert. His body was dismembered and scattered across Egypt, but his devoted wife Isis, a powerful magician, tirelessly searched for and reassembled his body, breathing life back into him long enough to conceive their son, Horus. Osiris then became the ruler of the afterlife, judging the souls of the dead. Horus, the falcon-headed god, grew up to avenge his father, eventually defeating Set in a series of epic battles and claiming his rightful place as king of the living. This myth is fundamental. It explains the divine right of the pharaohs, who were seen as the living embodiment of Horus, and it provides a powerful story of death, resurrection, and the eternal struggle between good and evil. The Egyptian pantheon is vast and complex. We have Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom, writing, and magic; Anubis, the jackal-headed guide of the dead, who weighed the hearts of souls against the feather of Ma'at; and Hathor, the cow goddess of love, music, and joy. What's fascinating about these gods is how they were often depicted with animal heads. This wasn't because the Egyptians worshipped animals, but because they believed certain animals embodied the specific characteristics and powers of that deity. A falcon's sharp eyesight for Horus, a jackal's scavenging nature for Anubis. It was a visual language of divine attributes. Now let's sail across the Mediterranean to the shores of Greece. If the Egyptian gods were defined by cosmic order and eternal cycles, the Greek gods were defined by passion, personality, and power struggles. Residing atop the mythical Mount Olympus, this family of deities was anything but stable. They were powerful, yes, but they were also vain, jealous, and prone to meddling in the affairs of mortals. At the head of the table sits Zeus, king of the gods and ruler of the sky, known for his mighty thunderbolts and his countless love affairs. His rule was established after he led his siblings in a 10-year war against their father, Cronus, and the other titans. This story, the Titanomachy, establishes the core theme of generational conflict and the overthrowing of the old guard, a common thread in Greek mythology. Alongside Zeus are his siblings, Poseidon, the temperamental god of the sea, whose trident could shake the earth, and Hades, the somber ruler of the underworld, a realm named after him. Unlike the Egyptian afterlife, which was a place of potential bliss, the Greek underworld was generally a gloomy and shadowy place for most souls. Then there's Zeus's wife, Hera, the queen of the gods and the goddess of marriage. She was perpetually enraged by Zeus's infidelity, and her vengeful plots against his lovers and illegitimate children are the subject of countless myths. The next generation of Olympians is just as dynamic. We have Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare, born fully grown from Zeus's head. Apollo, the god of music, poetry, and prophecy, often seen with his lyre or bow, and his twin sister Artemis, the fierce goddess of the hunt and the wilderness. There's also Aphrodite, the stunning goddess of love and beauty, who was born from the sea foam, Ares, the brutal god of war, and Hermes, the swift messenger of the gods with his winged sandals. Unlike the zoomorphic Egyptian gods, the Greek gods were anthropomorphic. They looked, and more importantly, acted like humans. Their stories read like epic family dramas, filled with love, betrayal, revenge, and heroism. They weren't distant, cosmic forces. They were relatable, flawed characters who experienced the full spectrum of emotion, just on a much grander, world-altering scale. This human-like quality made them incredibly compelling and allowed the Greeks to explore the complexities of their own nature through the stories of their gods. So we have these two incredible yet seemingly different religious systems. But what happened when they met? Contact between Greece and Egypt goes back to at least the Bronze Age, but it intensified dramatically after Alexander the Great conquered Egypt in 332 BCE. This ushered in the Ptolemaic period, where a Greek dynasty ruled over Egypt for 3 centuries. During this time, something fascinating occurred: syncretism. This is the blending of different religious beliefs and practices. The Greeks, upon encountering the ancient and impressive Egyptian pantheon, didn't simply dismiss it. Instead, they tried to understand it through the lens of their own mythology. They saw similarities and began to equate their gods with Egyptian ones. The most famous example is the fusion of the Egyptian god of the dead, Osiris, and the sacred Apis bull, with Greek gods like Hades and Dionysus. This created an entirely new, hybrid deity, Serapis. Serapis was depicted as a Greek-style god with a full beard and wavy hair, but he often wore an Egyptian headdress. He was a god of the afterlife, fertility, and healing, combining attributes from both cultures. Temples to Serapis, called Serapeums, were built throughout the Hellenistic world, most famously in Alexandria. He was a truly international god, worshipped by both Greeks and Egyptians. The Greeks also equated their messenger god, Hermes, with the Egyptian god of wisdom, Thoth. This made a lot of sense. Both were associated with writing, knowledge, and guiding souls. This fusion gave rise to the legendary figure of Hermes Trismegistus, or Hermes the Thrice Great, who was considered the author of a vast body of esoteric texts on magic, alchemy, and philosophy, known as the Hermetica. Even the supreme gods were matched up. The Greeks saw their powerful Zeus in the Egyptian creator god Amun-Ra. Both were considered kings of the gods and associated with the sky and power. When Alexander the Great visited the oracle of Amun at the Siwa oasis, the priests famously declared him the son of the god, which in Greek terms meant he was the son of Zeus. This was a masterful piece of political and religious propaganda, legitimizing his rule in the eyes of both his Greek and Egyptian subjects. Similarly, the powerful goddess Isis, with her maternal and magical aspects, was widely identified with the Greek goddess of love, Aphrodite, and the harvest goddess Demeter. The cult of Isis became incredibly popular across the Roman Empire, long after the pharaohs were gone, a testament to her enduring appeal. So, what can we take away from this divine comparison? The Egyptian gods, born of the Nile and the sun, represent a worldview centered on cosmic order, cyclical time, and the eternal battle against chaos. Their animalistic forms connect them directly to the forces of nature they command. The Greek gods, on the other hand, born from family conflict and human-like passions, reflect a worldview fascinated by individuality, drama, and the complexities of the human condition. But when these two cultures collided, they didn't just clash. They merged, adapted, and created something new. The syncretism of the Hellenistic period shows us a remarkable human tendency to find common ground, to see our own reflections in the faces of others, and to build bridges between different worlds. The stories of Serapis, Hermes Trismegistus, and Zeus Ammon are not just footnotes in history. They are powerful examples of cultural exchange and the fluid, ever-evolving nature of belief itself. From the solemn, animal-headed deities of the pyramids to the boisterous, all-too-human family on Mount Olympus, the gods of Egypt and Greece offer us two different, yet equally profound, windows into the ancient soul. They remind us that the questions we ask today about life, death, order, chaos, love, and power are the same questions our ancestors asked thousands of years ago, gazing up at the same stars. Thank you so much for joining me on this mythological journey today. What other ancient pantheons should we explore next? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to History of the Ancient World for more adventures into our shared past. Until next time, stay curious.